Sources tell Fox Business that the new tax plan from the Senate would, I'm not sure I want, please, get rid of that graphic, please. Get rid of that. I'm going to update it. Sources tell Fox Business that the top tax rate on individuals may come down from 39.6 to 37%. As a quid pro quo, the 20% top rate for businesses will be shifted along a year. It will be phased in after 1 year. That's the latest that we're learning here at Fox Business. Would those changes make the plan more Reagan-esque? Let's ask Art Laffer. He's the man who, I think, had a lot to do with the original Reagan-esque tax cuts of the 1980s. All right, Art, before these changes were proposed or considered, the ones I've just made, lowering the top rate for individuals, phasing in the corporate rate, I didn't think this plan was Reagan-esque at all. Now, with these changes, do you think it's improved?
Well, let me just say that Reagan did personal income tax rate reductions in the 1981 bill, not corporate rate reductions.
Right.
But he did make the mistake, and it was a huge mistake, of phasing in the tax cuts. Now, if you know they're going to cut tax rates next year, Stuart, what do you do this year? You do all you can to defer income and production and output, and we created the Great Recession of 1981-82 because we phased in tax cuts. If these guys aren't smart enough to realize that phasing in a corporate tax rate reduction is going to kill the economy, they shouldn't be there. They have no sense of history.
So let me jump in. So you don't like it? I mean, the whole idea...
Well, I don't like the phase-in. It's a really bad idea.
Like it. Okay.
It puts in the wrong incentives. I love the rate reduction. Just do it. And I love the reducing the highest tax rate as well. It's the right thing to do. But what I'm hoping, Stuart, is some of the other changes in the Senate bill that look like they're going through, like the deduction for state and local taxes, and the now I love the phase-in of the inheritance tax. To be honest with you,
why?
My kids will treat me really nicely.
Oh, stop it! Stop it!
No, it's the phase-in of the inheritance tax doesn't have the detrimental impact.
Okay.
That the phase into the corporate tax or phase into personal income tax rates has. That was a joke, obviously. Okay. They don't want me to die quickly, but you know, I think this phase in. I don't think there's a person alive who will vote for a phase in who has any sense of history. So now, I'm not worried about them doing it. They're not going to do that, and I think the Senate has a good chance of making it a lot better.
We keep coming back to this: the getting rid of the deduction for state and local taxes. Now, did you say you approve of that? Because if you get that, if that deduction is done away with, there's an awful lot of people who will end up paying more in tax. And that would include some middle-income people.
Come on, Stuart, we want everyone to pay more in taxes because they have higher-paying jobs, because they have jobs where heretofore they had no jobs. The whole purpose of this bill is to create economic growth, not to sit there and think statically. And if you think statically, like the state and local tax deductions, or like which group benefits and which group doesn't, you're missing the whole point of this bill, which is to create economic growth. And let me tell you, economic growth will benefit those people in New York, in Minnesota, in Connecticut, in all those high-tax states, and it will be correct because we in Tennessee should not be required to subsidize New York's contributions to the federal government by giving them deductions for their awful state policies.
So you don't care about those poor rich people in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut?
I do. I do. I want them to earn a lot more. I just don't want them to rip off the other states that don't have an income tax and don't have those deductions. We should all pay the same base to the federal government and not be allowed to deduct state and local taxes.
You know what
I want them all to get rich.
You know what I think, Art Laffer? I think that you're sitting back there in low-tax Tennessee having a quiet little chuckle about all those rich liberals in New York, New Jersey, and elsewhere who are going to have to pay more. You're laughing
I don't
at
care.
us.
I don't think if they're liberal. I moved from Southern California to Nashville, Tennessee because of that. These people sitting there in New York had a perfect option to move like I did, and they chose not to. They had a perfect option to elect a state government that wasn't ridiculous, and they chose not to. Now they want me to pay for their mistakes? I don't think so.
A lot of people do not have the luxury of just moving from California to Tennessee.
Of course they do. They all went to California. Oh, 250 years ago, there weren't any people in California, Native Americans, but there weren't any of the taxpayers there. They all moved there, and they can move out just like I did.
You're done, Laffer. You're done. I mean, you know, you're done, man. You really are done. But I
And you're in New
respect
York,
your
too,
Reagan-esque history. I really do. Art, I'm out of time. Got to go, but we'll see you again real soon. Thank you, sir.
Okay.